guys. I wanted to hop on here today and talk to you about some research that has been recently done on doTERRA essential oils. And I've been planning to talk about this for a little while, but I just had a conversation with a healthcare practitioner this morning, and it just brought it all back to me. And I was like, okay, I really got to cover this topic because it's important. So I'm going to be reading a little bit. So I've got my computer queued up, but I think you're going to find this interesting. So listen along. So if you were one of the thousands of people, I think about 35,000 people attended doTERRA's convention this year in September, we heard from a university called, or an institution called Roseman University, and they actually came on stage because they had, unbeknownst to doTERRA, been running research tests on their essential oils, or on our essential oils, for about 2 years. And they came on stage to announce the findings of the studies that they had been running. And they were pretty interesting. And so I don't know if everybody got this information. And if you didn't, I think it's really worth digging into. So I am not, as I probably said before, I am not a science-brained person, though I definitely have gone in that direction since exploring the oils for the past 4 or 5 years. I have a degree in art history and women's studies, so that's pretty far to the other side of that. But when you get into essential oils and you start to learn a little more about the chemistry and the science and the biochemistry and the biology behind them, it's like another layer that it's like another rabbit hole that you can go down. And I've really, I love it so much because I just kind of never want to stop learning. And I've enjoyed this opportunity to just like peel back another layer of doTERRA. So here we go with that in mind. So this is actually believed to be the first of its kind research into, or they call it a deep dive into the systems biological approach to assessing the effects and the quality of essential oils. And hang on for the end where they explain kind of what it's akin to. It's pretty interesting. But basically, over the last 2 years, Roseman University, led by several different doctors, Dr. Talbot is one of them, have been running a series of tests on a lot of different essential oils, including doTERRA, and going in to figure out if they're doing anything, if they're working. But what they're really been looking at in terms of doTERRA, and I'll explain why I'm saying doTERRA here more in a moment, they're investigating metabolism, how the oils work in terms of our metabolism, our oral health, our antioxidant properties of the oils as well. And they've actually found that each of the doTERRA oils had quantifiable and reproducible biological activity. Whoa, right? That's pretty cool. To our surprise, they were not able to replicate the biological effects by breaking down the oil and administering its purified constituents. So if you guys know a little bit about essential oil chemistry, many of these oils have hundreds of chemical compounds. So like a synthetic over-the-counter medication that you might take is often really just like one compound, and it's kind of why it has like a really direct and specific interaction in our body. But with the essential oils, there's so many compounds that they often will have positive side benefits, right? So we might use peppermint for digestive issues, but it also is really effective for headaches, and it's also really effective for cooling our body down. And so it's doing a lot of things because it has multiple compounds. So what they found out is that they couldn't extract one of those compounds and reproduce it to have the same effects. It actually is all of the compounds combined, and everything combined is what makes it so beautifully and biologically available and so unique. So in a sense, we tried to synthetically build identical essential oils with no success. This is direct from their study. They also found what they observed with doTERRA as an oil effect. In fact, they termed this whole thing the oil effect. And it's that doTERRA essential oils tested have therapeutically relevant cellular effects in many physiological, scientifically validated research models. They also observed that the effects of doTERRA essential oils were not replicated by administration of individual components within the oil itself, suggesting that the biological effects of doTERRA essential oils are a property of the whole oil. So they're finding some pretty fascinating things here. So they're working with Dr. Talbot, Dr. Tim Lee, and Dr. Yasuyo Urasaki, and they decided to pull some even further and more rigorous advanced tests and on the molecular compounds and the molecular fingerprinting of the oils, and they're doing it via proteomic profiling, which has to do with the proteins and their activity in the body. That's kind of over my head, so I'm going to scroll through that a little bit real quickly. But what they found is that they were able to observe the effects of essential oils on proteins at the molecular level through signaling, which is actually the first time these tests and this research has kind of ever been done. So turning down my notifications. So doTERRA, they were able to, through these nanofluidic proteomics, confirm that doTERRA potently induced therapeutically relevant signaling pathways in cell growth and rejuvenation, metabolic health, and healthy inflammatory responses. These proteomic profiling studies further confirmed that the effects of doTERRA essential oils were not replicated by a single major component and essential oils from different competitors. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Okay, so that's why we use doTERRA right there. They just proved it. Okay, so they also found out, and I think this is really interesting, is that the quality of essential oils is the combination of chemistry and biochemistry, and that biochemical analytics are required to fully assess the quality of essential oils. So the therapeutic potential of essential oils is highly dependent on the complete composition of the oil. You can't take parts of it out and have the same effects. But also, furthermore, sourcing, processing, and characterization are critical. And I talk about sourcing and processing a lot, and that really goes to doTERRA's co-impact sourcing and where they're getting their oils from around the world, and the conditions of the soil in those areas, and the climate, and all the different parts and pieces that make these oils the most medicinal ones on the market. And then further, the processing in terms of the distillation processing or the cold pressing, and the testing. The testing is a vital piece to this. It's a vital component in that doTERRA is testing with third-party vendors to make sure that every single batch, every single liter is completely pure and no GMOs and no pesticides and nothing that is below their requirements for high, pure, potent therapeutic essential oils. So, Dr. Lee's data suggests that human cells know the difference between a naturally sourced oil and an adulterated or synthetically constructed oil, and that this difference can be detected using the cell's own physiology. In this sense, his methodology and approach represent a biochemical lie detector test, a physiological polygraph. So the way that they're testing this is equivalent to a biochemical lie detector test, right? So they can figure it out, and a physiological polygraph. So finally, in providing a qualitative assessment, Dr. Lee says molecular and proteomic profiling provides a rapid, high throughput platform to screen quality and efficacy of essential oils. If we are correct, this is the first study of essential oils of its kind to utilize the body's own biochemistry to characterize the quality of essential oils. So, I don't know, I thought some of you sciencey people might appreciate and enjoy this information, and I will link up the results of this study as well on this very last video slide. So you guys, those of you science geeks, I hope you enjoyed it. Those of you art geeks like me that wish we were science geeks, I hope you enjoyed it too.